For today, we're going to see if we can play God of War Ragnarok on a PC from 2016, a mid-range PC from 2016. For our specs, we're going to be using an i5-4590, 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, and a GTX 1060. For our storage, I'm using a SATA SSD, and yeah, our specs are going to be matching, at least near, the minimum spec requirements for the game. For the settings, I'm going to leave it as is for now, which is 1080p, no DLSS, no FSR, no frame gen, and at the medium settings. Alright, first things first, this game was a pain to get going. It took me 3 hours to actually start recording, and it's not because the game was crashing or having issues, it was the game size. This game is 170 gigs on Steam, and downloading it, and then plus, I guess, installing it or verifying it, takes a full hour and a half for me, I think. Maybe 2 hours just for that. And then afterwards, you have to go ahead and compile the shaders, which is an extra, at least half an hour on this PC. Man, these game sizes are just atrocious. Alright, yes, surprisingly, so far, we are sitting at the mid-20s and the low 30s. That is not too bad. I'm actually surprised. This game is running decently well for a PC, a mid-range PC from 2016. We are having some stutters, but we can fix that with FSR, most likely. And surprisingly, our bottleneck here is the GPU. Because this CPU is pretty old, and it wasn't really that good in 2016. So, a 2022 game, I think, is doing pretty good. Maybe 2023. Not sure actually, but it's a PS5 title. So yeah, main issue here are the stutters, but FPS wise, it's the mid-20s and the low 30s, and it plays decently well, surprisingly. I'll play like this for a little bit, and then we can go ahead and try FSR, and then frame gen maybe as well. We've got to push this up now, so push me up. Yeah, the stuttering in this section is just far worse. The game is pretty much, I would say, unplayable. And FPS again is all over the place. Alright, let's pause it here, guys. Try FSR, no frame gen, and see what that can do for us. Alright, FSR 3 at the balance preset, and we're sitting at the mid-30s. The issue with FSR 3 is that it uses up more VRAM, and this card only has 6. And beforehand we were maxing it out, so that could be an issue at some point. But FPS wise, so far, we are sitting at the mid-30s and the high 30s. This is not the most intensive section, but so far, pretty decent. I think our lowest before was around 24, 25 FPS, so we'll see how far it falls down now. And in this section, the CPU is being pushed pretty heavily as well. It's sitting at 85. Wow, right here, 100%. It's being maxed out. Our bottleneck here is the CPU. It's fully maxed out, and the GPU is now sitting at 83% usage. Using a 30 FPS cap. Let's see how we go. I mean, it's not the most responsive game, obviously, but it's not as bad as before, that's for sure. We've got a chest here. Let's have a look. I do want to see how this runs with frame gen as well, because with the ROG Ally, it did help it out quite a bit. And the game was far more smoother with that active. So, who knows? It might come in handy for this one as well. I mean, right here, pretty good actually. Feels pretty smooth, but as soon as things have to load in, and there's enemies on screen, that's when it slows down, and it stutters and feels inconsistent. Can I, fast travel now? Like, at all? Ooh, let's see. Good, I can. This area here is quite intensive on all PCs, and on this system, it is still 30 FPS. Our bottleneck again was the CPU for a second, but it's gone down now. But yeah, 30 FPS feels about the same as before, to be honest. It does surprisingly well. I'll give it that. It does surprisingly well. Alright, let's see if the enemies are back here again. And if they are, we'll fight them. Afterwards, we'll use frame gen and see if we can get anywhere near 60 FPS with this system. And lastly, I'll go back and play the low settings as well, and see if the game can run better with that preset. Alright, here we go. Do we have enemies here, please? I hope we do. Damn, no enemies. Okay. Let's back out, guys, enable frame gen and try it again. Alright, frame gen active.
Do you ever wonder if you're doing the right thing?
Okay, let's go back, please. Oh, yeah. 45 FPS so far. The game feels way worse, guys. This feels way worse. It is so sluggish now. Even on the controller, this feels super sluggish. With frame gen, you want to get at least 60 or 70 pretty much for it to feel decent. And at above 100, you can't tell the difference, to be honest. It looks the same and plays the same. But at 40 to 50 or below even, it is very sluggish. So yeah, sadly frame gen is a bit of a bust. Let's back out, put the low settings with FSR active and see how we go there. Wow. That is pretty incredible, guys. We're sitting at 50 to 60 FPS here. I'm honestly shocked. This is with no frame gen. This is its base frame rate. Just low settings with balanced FSR. Now the stutters are still here, unfortunately, as CPU is also maxed out as well.
This is the safety office?
What? That was the first. The game had to pause and load it in. Alright, trying this again with the 30 FPS cap now. So yeah, this is a mixed bag, unfortunately. The game can be playable for some, but I think for most, this will be unplayable with this PC. Just far too many stutters, and it is far too inconsistent. But for the fun of it, let's pause it here, guys, enable frame gen, and see how we go with that. Alright, frame gen active, low settings, and... Our FPS is lower. We're sitting at 40 FPS instead of sitting at 50 to 60. And the input lag is back up to being horrendous. So many stutters. It is just unplayable with frame gen active. So yeah, if you are going to be playing with this kind of PC, ideally use an FPS cap of 30 and do a mix of low and medium settings. The game won't be consistent at all times, but it should at least be somewhat playable with the current setup. Okay, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time in the next video. See you guys there.